G'day guys and welcome back to this week's fishing report. Whether you're a seasoned angler or someone looking to just get into fishing, the fishing report here is going to help you out and help you catch more fish this weekend. These episodes are proudly sponsored by 7 Seas Apparel. Don't forget to use code REALFISHING10 to save yourself 10% off anything 7 Seas Apparel. Like and subscribe, and let's get into what's been biting around Sydney. Now, if we look out offshore, we've had some really nice conditions over the last week to head out offshore and target a few really nice fish, whether it be mahi-mahi or some nice marlin. Multiple boats out chasing marlin, getting multiple hookups in a day, which means our marlin is in our peak season right now. Along with that, trolling around the headlands of our offshore systems. So offshore Port Hacking, offshore Bonny Bay and offshore the heads of Sydney Harbour, trolling our deep diving hard bodies. At a decent speed, let's say 8 to 10 Ks an hour, have been producing some really nice bonito. Now you didn't have to troll, you can also have your soft plastics out the back and casting them as well, looking for those big bait schools either on the sounder or seeing them feeding on the surface. Heading back into the river, and well, the river has produced some really nice fish, particularly a few good sized sharks, would you believe? This time of year, the river is nice and warm. We've got cold mornings and that just seems to bring the sharks about. A few people have gone out and flown their drones about, and actually there's been quite a few sharks in the shallow sand flats. So please be careful if you're gonna go out and have a swim or you're gonna go out and have a fish. Over last weekend, I went out and targeted big flathead. I'm gonna not give you the secrets as to whether I actually caught some. You're gonna have to stick around and find out in a future episode whether I actually did. But while I was out on those shallow sand flats casting really big lures, I actually found quite a lot of whiting feeding. There was slurping on the surface multiple times over sand flats, and there was heaps of them. I only had my big fishing rod out, but if I brought a smaller popper with a Daiwa slippery dog or a Jackson Ebby prawn, you would have been absolutely in for a show in regards to catching some whiting on your surface. Along with that, we have seen quite a lot of really nice flathead being caught along the edges. So fish in excess of 60 centimeters have been quite consistent, particularly on that run out tide. Now, fishing those edges of a sand flat down to a pressure edge or a deeper drop off have been producing some really nice flathead. Now, that's what's been biting around Sydney. Let's get into where to go fishing this weekend. Well, this weekend's fishing weather forecast doesn't look that great, if I'm going to be really honest with you. It could change before the weekend, so please make sure you check your forecast before you head out. But it looks like we've got some rain about both Saturday and Sunday. Out of the 2 days, Saturday probably looks the best one conditions-wise, with a little bit of rain about in the morning and a less stronger breeze on Saturday morning. We've got a southerly on Saturday morning, and then on Sunday morning we have a strong northeast breeze the whole day. So when I'm looking at the conditions and what I'm planning to do this weekend is actually to fish the run out tide in the morning. The afternoon run out tide at about 5:30 looks okay, but it's not as good as the morning tide. Now, if you look at your daily tide chart, the morning tide is about 1.6 to 1.7, and it's going to drop to about a 0.4. So this is going to be about a 1.2 meter tide, which is quite a significant tide and a really peak bite time for that day. In the afternoon, we're looking at about a 1.2 meter high tide and a 0.5 low tide, sorry. So that's only a 0.7 meter difference in tide change from high to low. That's why I recommend to head out in the morning. We've got a bigger tide. There's going to be more fish active along those bigger tides. So we've got a high tide at about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and then we've got that run out tide all the way to about 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. So what you should be targeting is our whiting early on the sand flats. Now, if you can head up the sand flats nice and early using poppers, slippery dogs, Ebby prawns, all that sort of stuff, go up on the sand flats, see if the water is nice and clear. If it's nice and clear, you're ready to go for targeting whiting. Now, the reason why I say that, when that water gets dirty up on the sand flats, often our whiting will hang around the edges rather than go up on those sand flats and feed, particularly in the system that I fish a lot, which is the Port Hacking River. If it is clear and we've got some nice conditions to head out into those areas, places like the flats along Northwest Arm is really good, Mainbar is another really good one, and also Darook is a really good one in the Port Hacking. Places like Tara, now again with a southerly breeze, you're going to be protected in that Tara area, but Please be careful if you're heading out to Botany Bay because the southerly breeze can be quite strong during these times in the season at the moment. If you're not going to target the whiting on poppers or even target them on bait, what I would be doing is using those edges, again, like I always say, using the edges to target flathead. Now, it's going to be such a good tide to be able to do that. Fishing from about 5:30 in the morning to 11:30 should see yourself with a nice feed of flathead, whether it be that 50, 55 centimeter range, or even targeting some really bigger fish, that 65, 70, 75 centimeter range, depending on what you want. Fishing those pressure edges, like I said, find a sand flat and find where that sand flat drops off into deep water and fish that drop off along that run out tide the whole time using your electric motor, 1/6 ounce, 1/4 ounce, or even 1/8 ounce style soft plastic should work. My recommendation is dial wave minnow is a really good one, particularly the motor oil color is a really good one in Botany Bay. If you're heading into the Port Hacking or the Sydney Harbour, where traditionally it's a bit of a clearer system, I'd be using more of a lighter coloured lure, a more clear coloured lure, just to suit those conditions. The spots I'm going to be targeting for flathead on this run out tide, places like the Warrenoa River, some really nice sand flats into some skinny, deeper channels, which is really good on that run out tide, particularly when we have quite a strong breeze that's being predicted. So Warrenoa River is a good one for if you're fishing in the Botany Bay region. If you're heading up to the Sydney Harbour area, places like Lane Cove River, Iron Cove River are also really good ones because they have big, wide, expansive sand flats with some nice drop-offs and a few bit of nice oyster leases around as well. Heading back down to the Port Hacking River, again, main bar, the edge along main bar there, along the main channel of the Port Hacking River should produce some really nice fish. Now, if there's lots of boat traffic, I'd head all the way up to Gunnamatta Park and fish those edges on that run out tide along Gunnamatta Flats there. That's going to do it for this week's fishing report. Hope you all go out and have a fish this weekend. Please be careful, the conditions can change. As always, like and subscribe. Let me know where you're going in the comment section below. And we'll see you next week for the fishing report.